All right, guys, not going to make a long video, but Bitcoin continuing to be doing very well over the last couple of days. We're actually at 104 like 20 minutes ago. Now we're at 102. Stock market doing crazy. All your altcoins are pretty much up. Big news today: China is making a deal with the United States. Treasury Secretary Bessent sees tariff agreement as progress in strategic decoupling with China. All the liberals over the last week basically saying there wasn't going to be a tariff deal between China and USA. They're all like, oh, there's no reason for China to come out and negotiate. Trump looks like an idiot, and I've pretty much been saying, all the conservatives have been saying, we're going to have a deal very, very soon. Now we pretty much have a deal. Market's on fire. Your altcoins coming back. You guys can feel it. You can feel it in the air that your altcoins and Bitcoin and crypto and stocks and everything is just basically wants to come back to where it was before all this tariff garbage. So everything looking bullish, everything lining up like we've been saying on this channel for the last 6 months, the last year, that once all this rockiness, gets flushed out of the system, once this tariff garbage gets flushed out of the system, Bitcoin is going to be off to the races and go into a full-blown bull market, and that's what the 4-year cycles dictate as well. Alt season coming. Cardano back up to 82 cents. I saw Ethereum really leading the way. Everybody said Ethereum was dead. Ethereum doing well. 2,500 for Ethereum. And if you go down the list, most of your altcoins are up 5, 10, 20, even 30% if you go all the way down to like the top 100. Everything looking great, guys. There's not a ton to talk about other than the China deal. The China deal is what pumped Bitcoin and the stock market really today. Get some Charles Hoskinson. Charles Hoskinson says Cardano wants to be the first blockchain with a privacy stablecoin. That would be awesome. Privacy is very important in crypto. If you can't be private, what's the point of even being in crypto? You might as well basically be in Bitcoin. You might as well just be in traditional fiat. So it would be nice to see Cardano and then have a privacy stablecoin. Hoskinson says he wants Cardano-based privacy stablecoin. Regulators are adverse to privacy-enabled cryptocurrencies. Crypto stablecoin market has grown to $243 billion. So I certainly think that's something Charles Hoskinson should be looking into, blah, 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 blah. Of course, the only negative side with that is you got the regulators coming after you. Certain exchanges might not accept it. But I think with everything going on in the world, I think people are just more open to it. And I think with Donald Trump in office, I think Donald Trump would be 100% for a privacy stablecoin. So I think now is the time to do it if you're going to do it. We'll see what happens. XRP price surge to $10. Analyst reveals factors that will make it happen in 2025. If you had told me this a couple years ago, I'd say this is absolutely horseshit. But I do think I've been saying for the last 6 months, I think XRP is going to be one of the biggest pumpers, especially with the whole SEC litigation no longer a problem. I think a $10 XRP is certainly possible. I'm leaning more towards like a 5 or 6. Maybe like an 8 is when I'd want to get out. It really just depends on the timing. But I actually do think XRP is going to be one of my top gainers. As much as I like Cardano, if I could go back 2 years ago, I would just buy all XRP. I really would because, there's just so much momentum behind it. Factors that could push XRP price to $10, unlike past cycles when XRP pumped towards the tail end of the bull market. This time it has emerged as one of the top performing altcoins early on, expanding on this impressive performance, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and that is true. If you look back to previous cycles, when we would go into the full-blown alt season, altcoins would go crazy towards the end, and then XRP would pump, which is pretty much what happens with a lot of altcoins. Really now, XRP's been kind of leading the market, and I was actually kind of worried. I was like, okay, well, maybe XRP's pumping first. Maybe it's going to fizzle out and it's having its pump early, but it's not. If you look how fast XRP Ripple came back, when Trump started making deals with these other countries regarding tariffs, that XRP is really, really like there's just so much momentum. There's so many people. There's so many bag holders, to be honest. With XRP, they're gonna pump it to the moon. So everything looking good on the XRP pump. You still got MicroStrategy here added 13,390 Bitcoin for 1.34 billion. Absolutely crazy. And that's another, as much as I shit on MicroStrategy, as much as I shit on Michael Saylor, and as much as I think Michael Saylor is going to be the thing that basically wrecks everybody, as this bull market's ending, we do need him to be buying Bitcoin right now because he really is the reason Bitcoin's over $100,000. If it wasn't for Michael Saylor, I don't think we'd be there. So the good thing about with the Michael Saylor sleaze, the way he buys his Bitcoin, if Bitcoin's doing well, he's able to leverage his stock and buy more Bitcoin. And right now, Bitcoin's doing well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a lot more Michael Saylor buys as Bitcoin goes up. You're going to see Bitcoin get 120,000, 130,000. You're still going to be seeing news that Michael Saylor is buying more Bitcoin. We'll probably top out at like 140, 150. Then we'll probably have a big crash down to 100, which will pretty much be the start of the bear market. And you're not going to be seeing any more buys after that with Michael Saylor. And that's probably going to be the start of the collapse of Michael Saylor and Bitcoin as we go into the bear market. I had somebody in my comments basically telling me, hey, Mike, there's no way that Bitcoin's going back down to $15,000, $20,000. Then this next bear market, it's absolutely happening. When you look at the amount of Bitcoin that a lot of these funds are holding, especially Michael Saylor, if Michael Saylor gets margin called and he has to start selling his Bitcoin and he can't pay back his stock, Bitcoin's going to take the brunt of it and it's going to be an absolute disaster. So yeah, I stand by that. I could be wrong. I don't even care if I'm wrong. Whatever. We're talking like a couple years down the line, but I do fully expect a $15,000, $20,000 Bitcoin. And that's not just picking on Bitcoin. Cardano will go back down to 10 cents. Litecoin will go back down to $10. Ethereum will go down to $30 or $40 or $50 or what? No, actually, Ethereum will probably go down to like 150, 200 is where I'm probably thinking it'll go. But yeah, everything's going to have a hard dump. It's just everything pretty much follows Bitcoin. All right, let me see if there's anything other major news. I mean, really the big news today, guys, is the China news, which that is big. We're probably going to that was kind of like a market's pump. So we'll probably see a little bit of a pullback on the stock market after people digest the China news. Like, oh, great. And then, that's pretty much it. We made a deal with China, which I think most people kind of thought we were going to do anyway. So other than that, I mean, unless there's like more news that comes out throughout the day, we're definitely going to end with stocks up. It's just, I don't think this is going to be like a sustainable stock market's pumping all week type thing. I think we've had the pump. Now we're going to level out, and then we'll just kind of go from there. I just see Bitcoin's pulling back a little bit at 102,881. I guess I'll call this a little healthy consolidation. But with that said, though, even with Bitcoin pulling back, look at XRP. Look, XRP's back up to 260. And this is kind of how these markets go, guys. Bitcoin pumps first, pulls back, levels out. People take their money out of Bitcoin, put it in alts, then Bitcoin pumps up again, alts chill out a little bit, then the cycle repeats, Bitcoin goes down a little bit, and people take their money and put it in alts. Because if you look at your altcoins, Ethereum 2,500, XRP is like leading the way, basically like we said. XRP will probably be $3 by the end of the week, unless we have something catastrophic happen. And if XRP gets back to $3, that's pretty much where it was before this whole big old tariff dump happened. Cardano's still at 82 cents, even with Bitcoin down $2,000. So, yeah, I mean, basically the money's just coming out of Bitcoin right now and going into altcoins. Will that last? I don't know. The positive thing is, which I've been saying in a lot of my videos, everything's about timing with these markets, right? If you're 2 months late with crypto, you don't make any money. If you leave 2 months early, you make any money. You have to get out. You have to get in at the right time. It's the only way you make any money. Right now, we're in the bullish phase. This summer is going to be bullish for crypto. Yes, we're going to have pullbacks. We're going to have big dumps. We're going to have moments where people say, oh, the bull market's over. We just had a big dump. Oh, Bitcoin went back down to $98,000. It's all over. It's not all over, guys. If we get to like September and we're doing that, then I'll start to get a little worried. But I fully expect by September to me to be mostly out of these markets. I think the next couple months are going to be great. $2, $3 Cardano, blah, blah, blah. Bitcoin 140, 150. But I do fully expect by the end of the summer that this market's going to be topping out. Possibly if we get out of if we end up getting out of these markets in like August, September, we could maybe go another month or two. And everybody's going to be on my comments saying, hey, Mike, you sold too early. You sold your Cardano at 250 and now it's 3. Oh, you idiot. Because that's the exact same thing that happened in 2021. I sold all my Cardano at like 250 or something like that, 220. And it went up to like $3. And when it hit $3, everybody's like, you idiot, like on the comments and stuff like that. Not on my crypto channel, but like other people's YouTube channels who I would comment on. And then, of course, we went into full-blown bear market. Cardano went back down to 25 cents. So I fully expect that happening again. A lot of market indicators I use. I hate to say it. I have friends who only talk about crypto. Some of my friends only talk about crypto when it's at the top. I shit you not. I had a friend that was talking 3 or 4 months in January. He was asking me what cryptos to buy. I hadn't heard from the guy in years, and that was the top. He did the same thing in 2021. He was buying all shit coins, garbage in 2021. I told him we were at the top of the market. Don't buy anything. Get out. He bought all these shitty coins. They all went down to zero. You have to have that dumb money out there, that dumb emotional money. So I'm not gonna mention any names, but they know who they are. When I start to hear from them towards the end of the summer, what coin should I buy? That's how I'm gonna know that I'm getting out of most of my coins. And I've said it before, I'm not gonna get the top on everything. Some stuff I might get the top, but I fully expect to get out of some of these coins. And they go up another 50%, they go up another 20%. I'm not worried about that, guys. I'm just not gonna be the bag holder as we go into January and we go into next year when we're in full-blown bear market. And the big headline on CNBC is Michael Saylor is getting margin called, or SEC has halted MicroStrategy trading because it dropped 80% in an hour. I'm not going to have any crypto at that point. I hope you guys understand that. I will have nothing. I will be off into the sunset, riding off into the sunset, doing my own thing. And this is going to be the first bear market that crypto doesn't even affect me. Even in 2021, when I sold 80% of my coins and I did really, really well, it still affected me because I ended up keeping a shitload of Theta and a shitload of other coins that dropped 99%. That's not happening this time. I'm going to be out of everything. I'm not going to have any crypto. Maybe I'll buy back in a couple years if I see things going well, if I see Cardano dump down to 20 cents again, and the cycles look like they're still intact, maybe I'll buy back in. But I'm not holding shit coming out of this summer. I mean, the longest I would hold is maybe September, October, really depending on the timing. But most likely, I'll probably be out of everything by the end of the summer. But again, who knows? Who knows? I mean, I'm taking things day by day, but the odds of me holding crypto past September, October, I'd say are about 95% that's not going to happen. I'm looking to get out, especially since I've been right so far about the timing and about China and Trump and about how everything's lining up. And like I said in my previous videos, I expect Jerome Powell to come out in July and do a rate cut, which is basically going to take Bitcoin up to the alt season. We're going to be at the tippy top of the alt season. That's going to be the next catalyst. It's going to be a really good summer. It's going to be a really good summer, guys. So everything on track. Bitcoin 102,944 coming back up. Your altcoins holding on strong. I think we're waiting for the next leg up. I think we're going to see a 105 Bitcoin, 107, 108 sometime in the next couple of weeks. Then Bitcoin will probably go back down to 105, and then you're going to see the next leg up in altcoins, which will be a $3 XRP, a $1, maybe $1 to $1.30 Cardano. Your Theta is going to get back over $1.50, and then basically boom, boom, boom. It's smooth sailing the next couple months as we go into this summer, and it's going to be a good summer, guys. And I wouldn't bullshit you guys and say if I didn't think so. Like I said, the timing for me was a little bit off. I kind of figured, I originally thought by summer we'd pretty much be at the top right now, but with tariffs and a few things that Trump did to basically fix the market, it kind of held things up a little bit. But right now we're back online. We're back on the 4-year cycles. And honestly, a 50-60% dump in Bitcoin, 50-60% dump in these altcoins, which we had over the last couple months, it happens every cycle. So there's nothing new. All right, like and subscribe. Talk to you later.